hope you're having a great day, and I hope you're very tolerant, because I'm going to present my basic feelings after watching Married at First Sight tonight. And here it goes. Words, words, words. I'm so sick of words. Don't talk of stars burning above. If you're in love, show me. Tell me no dreams filled with desire. If you're on fire, show me. Here we are together in the middle of the night. Don't talk of spring, just hold me tight. Anyone who's ever been in love will tell you that this is no time for a chat. Haven't your lips long for my touch? Don't say how much, show me. Don't talk of love lasting through time. Make me no undying vow. Show me now. Sing me no song, read me no rhyme. Don't waste my time. Show me. Please don't implore, beg or beseech. Don't make a speech. Show me. Never do I ever want to hear another word. There isn't one I haven't heard. Here we are together in the middle of a dream. Say one more word and I'll scream. Haven't your arms hungered for mine? Please don't explain. Show me. Don't wait until wrinkles and lines pop out all over my face. Show me now. Well, I'm sorry for burning your ears like that, but I just had to express that the one thing I'm really missing in Married at First Sight is passion. These people have no passion. It's two people, each trying to psychoanalyze the other. Each person observing what's wrong with the other person, and then trying to plot out a therapeutic plan by which they can become a better partner. I don't think this makes for a great relationship, and it certainly is boring. I'm not exactly sure why all of the couples are taking this path, except that they were mismatched. Okay, I'm going to start with Alexis and Justin. Now, Justin started out to me as a really great guy. My things I noticed first about Justin, of course, we had to notice his height. He's about 6'4", very thin. Seems like a nice person, good looking. What I did notice about Justin is that I didn't like the fit of his clothes. He has to get his clothes tailored because his pants always look too short. And that really bugs me. So I would say for Justin, he has to kind of accept his height, find a tailor, and get clothes that fit him. He's a big boy now. He's going to need clothes that fit him. He says he's a digital marketing specialist. So I assume he's selling things over the internet. He says he moved to the city they're in now, and that he actually met Alexis on Instagram. She was not interested in him, never responded to him, but he was really happy they met on this show. So that gives me mixed feelings. Why wouldn't she be interested in him when he introduced himself on Instagram? My first thoughts about Justin also were that this man appears to me to be in music. Now, he doesn't mention music, and we don't see him affiliated with music, but I think if I had met Justin, I would have had him try to sing out a few notes and see if he was a singer. I would have had him dance to see if he was a dancer. I would have sat him down at the piano and see if he could play a piano, because he kind of looks like a piano player. Something in him reminds me of an artist. And so I would have been very, very suspicious that he was an artist in some way. So that still is what I'm thinking about Justin. But that hasn't been shown in any way on the show. He falls in love quickly, easily, and he uses that L word a little too casually. Alexis is very different. Alexis is very reserved. She's been through a lot of negative relationships, and she does not trust Justin in the fact that he says he loves her. She's thrilled to hear it, but she doesn't believe it. She's a loud person. She screams a lot in public, which kind of annoys me. She describes herself as a mental health counselor. So that's going to put her in the position of counseling Justin and maybe seeing him more as a client and less as a suitor. She thinks something is wrong with Justin. When we saw her apartment, it was full of a lot of her junky art, and so she kind of is a clutter person, and that would, of course, be up to Justin as to whether or not he was interested in having that art all around his house, or whether it was just too much clutter. The biggest problem I saw was, of course, as we saw, their dogs. Now, Alexis has a cute little house dog, and it was her pride and joy. She treated it like a baby. Justin had a dog that he trained from when it was very young, and he trained it to be more of a hunter. He was doing that light game where it chases and attacks a light on the floor. Now that tends to frustrate animals because there's nothing there. They can't touch anything. They can never catch the light. The light always escapes. So animals that are trained with the light game tend to be frustrated, angry, exasperated. They're trying to catch something and they can't catch it. So they're going to be more aggressive. Initially, I knew that his dog was not going to get along with her dog. And his dog is more wolf-like. It looks more like a wolf, and it didn't look like a cute little puppy like Alexis's dog. Justin's dog lives with a cat. Now, I feel eventually that cat will probably be chopped up by Justin's dog, maybe by accident, maybe on purpose, but Justin's dog did live with a cat, and Justin never reported that there were any problems between the dog and the cat. But of course, he wasn't there all the time, and he may not have known of any skirmishes or problems the cat had with the dog. Justin lived in a little teeny studio apartment, which again would be very frustrating for a big dog. There's no place for it to stretch and run. It might go out for a couple of walks, but that's really not enough for a big dog. So I would expect Justin's dog to have mental problems that probably Justin does not recognize. He does have a nice patio that the dog can go outside on, and we didn't really get an estimate of how big that patio was, but I'm sure since he lived in a studio apartment, I'm sure that patio was very small. Tonight we see Alexis and Justin not getting along. She's pretty much given up on Justin, as he does not seem to be communicating well with Alexis. She was, of course, horrified when Justin's dog bit the eye of her cute little cuddly home dog. And that was a serious injury. She had to go to the vet. She didn't want Justin to come with her. That was a sign that she was cutting it off. And you can expect that if you have a date who has a dog that she treats as a child, if you injure that dog, you can pretty much expect that the relationship is going to go way south, and there's a huge chance that the relationship will not continue. So she was getting frustrated that he was not reliable, he was not communicating well, and generally what I would call he didn't have common sense to, one, assess that his dog would not be appropriate for her dog, to two, to discuss that he noticed that the dog was not eating and had vomited blood, and he didn't tell her that, and also just other things. She felt that this guy was a problem and was not going to add to her life, and she was pretty much cutting it off mentally. We see her pretty much saying that to him tonight, that she doesn't think this is a good relationship to her. He's feeling less attached to her, and he's beginning to feel that he is falling out of, quote, love, unquote, with her. And so we see their relationship deteriorating. But they are still playing along, but I don't hold anything out for these two. I feel the dog incident was enough to explode the whole dream between Alexis and Justin, and that they will not go any further. Mitch and Kristen. Mitch has changed quite a bit from the beginning. He is what he calls in politics. He is an environmentalist. He was very specific when he met Kristen. He told her she needed to take off the makeup, she needed to dress in jeans, and I felt he had an experience with a girl in the past that he really liked, and he was trying to make Kristen into that girl. However, he did say that he used to masturbate to pornography, which kind of leads me to a conflict in what he's saying, because those girls are always heavily made up and certainly are not running around in jeans. Kristen is a pleaser. She will do anything to make this man happy. She says she's a realtor. She says her future is in flipping homes. She feels a little too desperate. She's always treading on thin ice. She doesn't want to get him upset, because then he is quick to reject her. So she's willing to dress the way he says, to change her life to his life, and pretty much talk in soft tones and see how they can make it through positively with this relationship. I don't hold out much for Mitch and Kristen, but I think Kristen will hang in there as long as possible. It's notable that when Kristen showed him the shirt she had bought that he was supposed to wear for the meeting that evening, he did not want to wear the shirt. Kristen had to explain to him that all the guys were going to be wearing the same shirt, so she asked him to go into the bathroom so she could explain this to him. He was caught yelling at her extremely loudly and harshly and aggressively in the bathroom, and then he quieted his tone when he realized the cameras were picking up his voice. I don't think we've seen the real Mitch, and I think this guy could be very, very violent. Nate and Stasia, let me see, his name is Nate Barnes, and he says he's a day trader. Well, he doesn't look like a stock trader, so I don't know what he means by day trader. Does that mean he's at the flea market? Does that mean he's selling drugs? Does who knows what day trader means to him. He likes to argue, I can tell you that. And he argues about anything. When she took him to her house and he saw how beautiful it was, he was in awe. It was as if he's never seen a nice house before, and certainly it was above anything that he felt he could afford or relate to. Then he got into a big argument with Stasia about a coffee machine. Well, that was an important thing to her, and she certainly has a great income, which I don't think he can relate to either. And so it was really stupid for him to stand there and argue about a coffee machine and whether or not she should buy coffee at the store or make it at home. That really was not her issue. Stasia is an independent realtor. She makes $400,000 approximately in her job. So she is more advanced than him, and I think she's out of his league as far as what he can relate to. He is just starting up. He's probably the type of person who is couch surfing, sleeping on sofas, and so forth, and I don't think he can relate to Stasia's life. But he would like to, but I think he wants to be the boss, and I think with Stasia, she clearly is going to be the head of the household and the one who's more advanced mentally. She does have the problem that she sleeps with her eyes open. Now that gives me the feeling that she probably reads a lot. She's probably watching TV late at night, or she's probably reading a lot at night. And so she has this habit of sleeping with her eyes open. She complains a lot, and she is disrespectful to Nate as far as his lifestyle, because she is so far away from that. She can't relate. When she went to his home, she saw his house looked very unusual in that there really was nothing in there. There were a few pairs of shoes. He had a lot of trash in his closet, which she took out. And in his kitchen, he had a couple of wine glasses, which still had wine in the bottom of the glass. He hadn't washed it out. The place looked more as if it was newly acquired, or maybe not his home. So there was a big question about Nate's home, what his residence, where does he live, and what was going on in his house. So they're a mismatch, and he calls her a diva, which I think is a negative term for her, because he can't relate to the level of things that she expects. He knows that he could never provide for her, and so I would say those two will never really find happiness, and she probably needs to find somebody who is more experienced and maybe older than Nate. Morgan and Ben. I love Ben. I think he's a great person, nice personality. I think he has a lot of cultural things that hold him back. Morgan is a very American girl, and I don't think Ben is exactly pleased with having been matched with Morgan. She is a nurse, and Ben was very confused because he didn't know what level of nurse she was. She was still taking classes, and when you're in nursing, you can always take more classes. You can always move around to different jobs. Ben didn't seem to understand that, and he was ready to reject her just based on her claim to be a nurse, and he felt she wasn't a nurse. Morgan is also a kickboxer. Ben didn't like that. I think he thought that was too aggressive. But maybe he did like it, but I didn't get the feeling that he liked her being a kickboxer. Morgan complains she's overworked, she's stressed out, she doesn't want to come home and help anybody. She wants to just be alone. She wants to maybe walk through, say hi to Ben, go lay down, rest, and then she might be called back for another shift. Ben has his master's in engineering. He's doing investing. He's making his way as far as advancing his status financially. He's well mannered. He's very serious. Ben and Morgan had a time where they couldn't start off with the other couples because Ben was COVID positive. During that time, Ben memorized his marriage vows. During that same time, Morgan just complained that Vin had COVID. And so they're very different in how they manage their time and how serious they are about the marriage. Vin showed he was very serious and he was going to memorize his marriage vows completely. He is very frugal. He likes the lights out at a certain time. He likes the games to stop at a certain time, and Morgan does like to play games, the electronic games. He checks the wattage on appliances and all that stuff, and that's totally new to Morgan. She's not used to that. And so that is a place where they're going to have to resolve that issue. And that can be a big issue if you're really serious on calculating financial waste in the home. Morgan has a cat. Ben didn't particularly like the cat. And I felt Ben was trying to find a lot of ways to get out of this relationship with Morgan. And at one point, I thought he was going to use the cat as the reason to leave. In this episode tonight, he seemed much more playful. He was very playful as a merman in the pool. He said he wanted to work it out with Morgan. And this episode, Ben set up a nice Asian barbecue in the living room. And Morgan, when she got home from work, she sat down and ate and enjoyed it. But she didn't wash up or change her clothes, and I thought that was pretty disgusting. I think when I think of Ben, I think in the future, he pictures his wife taking care of the kids. I think he pictures his family, his grandmother, his mother, his father coming to live with them in the house and helping to take care of the kids. I feel he has responsibilities that extend beyond what he and Morgan would have as their own home. And I think that's cultural baggage that he has to deal with. And I don't think Morgan would like that sort of situation. Morgan said she was hindered by her dad. She could never please her dad. And she felt only relieved once she cut her dad out of her life and she was able to say that she was enough. Ben has the same issue. He feels he's not enough, although he does have a master's in engineering and certainly is enough, but internally he is still fighting a lot of family issues that criticize him because he did not go off and become a doctor or a lawyer. So I don't think Ben and Morgan will be a good couple. Morgan doesn't want to come home and work with Ben. As she said, she's tired at night. She wants to come home. She feels overworked and she wants to come home to a nice quiet house. Ben wants to have a lot of interaction and talk and do things after work. So it doesn't sound like they're going to be fit for the same family life. The last couple is Miguel and Lindy. Now, Lindy is a physical therapist and she's very talkative. Miguel has a PhD in neuroscience and he's very quiet. In the beginning, Lindy was just driving him nuts. She talks and talks and talks, and he was rolling his eyes. He was, I think, trying to tolerate her. I think they have become closer, and he is more tolerant of her since the beginning. But I think her talking still drives him crazy, and she does have student loans. I don't think the student loans are going to be a big deal, and